Hey everyone, Rebel316 here, coming at you with a movie review. Yeah, a movie review. Haven't done a movie review in a long time. But this one was a requested movie review from many of my subscribers here on YouTube. They wanted me to give my thoughts on the latest Candyman movie, which came out this year in 2021. Okay. I went to the cinema to see this movie, full of hype. When I first saw the trailer, I was like, I'm not sure about this shit. You know, it looks like one of your typical films. I mean, remember that scene in the trailer where you had all them girls in the bathroom, the girls' toilet saying Candyman in the mirror? I was like, this film's going to be filled with screaming teenagers. It's going to have that spoiler feeling of, I don't know, blondes with big tits running in the wrong direction of the killer and all that kind of shit. And I wasn't so sure, but then I looked at some of the reception this movie got before I saw it, and people were giving it a lot of praise. They were really giving this movie a lot of hype. They were really getting behind this movie. So it changed my mind a little bit, and I was like, you know what? You don't know until you've actually seen the movie. I got me and my buddies together. We went to see this movie. I've seen the movie, everybody, and to tell you the truth, it's time and money that I'll never forget fucking back. This movie back here, that movie right there, that Candyman movie, I can defend that movie all day long. It's in one of my top 5 favourite movies. It had everything of a making of a horror movie. Everything from the music, the acting, the storytelling, everything. It was a film I watched when I was 12 years old, and it terrified the living fucking shit out of me. Terrified me for life. I've got the tattoo here, Candyman, on my arm. You know? The only film that ever scared me. I was 12 years old, and it was that movie back there that made me not eat or sleep properly for fucking weeks. I can defend that movie all day fucking long. Even when that movie opens up, when the opening credits of that movie opens up, of that bird's eye view of that city, and it's got that chilling movie in the background, the the scary movie, like a chilling opening. That's how a movie opens up with a proper horror movie. How did this movie fucking open up? Oh, the Candyman can. He mixes it with love and makes the whole world taste good. What the fuck were all that about? No word of a lie. That's how the Candyman 2021 movie opens up. The Candyman song. He mixes it with love and makes the whole world taste good. The Candyman can. One thing I will give props about the opening was the mirror image of the city when it was opening up. Like the mirror image. Kind of a nice touch of how things will look like outside of a mirror. I'll give props to that. That was a good way of opening up. But why the fuck would you play a song like that for a fucking horror movie? He's the Candyman, yeah, we get that. But why the fuck would you play that song for supposed to be a horror movie and you open up with the Candyman can? I've met Tony Todd. I think he's a great actor. He's done loads of great voice acting. And he was the guy that made me shit my pants when I was 12 years old after watching him in his performance in that movie back there. I've met Tony Todd. And one of the last things I asked him was, please make another Candyman movie. You know what he told me? He says, we shall see. If I would have known that I would have seen something like this, I wish I never have even fucking attempted to ask him if that's the type of movie that was going to be given us by Jordan Peele. Basically, in this so-called movie, anyone can be a Candyman. Any black guy that seems to die tragically or terribly can be a Candyman. I've already gave one good reference that it opened up with a mirror image, like the mirror type of opening to the Candyman. What the city would look like from a mirror. Another thing I'll give props for is that it does give references from the first Candyman movie. They do talk about Virginia Madsen's character a lot, Helen Lyle. About how she was involved with the Candyman in the first movie, about how she was blamed for all the Candyman murders, how she saved that baby from the fire, you know, when Candyman lured her into that trap and she got burned to death by saving that baby's life. Anne-Marie McCoy's baby child, Anthony. Well, in this movie, that baby, Anthony, has grown up to be an artist, and an asshole artist. So basically, he's the main lead character in this movie. And he gets bit by a fucking bee. And he becomes the next Candyman. Just from a bee bite. So I'm thinking, is that Tony Todd's Candyman that he's now possessed by? From that bee bite? So apparently now you can become a fucking Candyman by getting a bite from a fucking bee. The characters in this movie were not fucking interesting. I did not give a fuck about the lead character. You know, Vanessa Williams comes back briefly to play Anne-Marie McCoy, where she tells her son Anthony the story about the Candyman. Poor performance. In the first movie, she did a good job of showing emotional effects about... She was talking about Ruthie Jean's death in that scene in the Candyman movie. She showed great signs of being scared, being terrified, where she returned home with a dog's head cut off. Scariest scene in the whole movie, and she topped it off like a pea. Fucking topped it off. In this movie, it just seems so flat. Where she's just telling the story about the Candyman to her son, and how she never told him all this time to protect him. What else have we got? We've got the lead character's wife, who has a sister, who has a brother who's gay. Nothing against gay people. I respect their rights and all that kind of stuff. But again, you've got this gay character trying to be funny in this movie. With all this speech. And I'm thinking, why the fuck would you put that in a fucking Candyman movie? Why? We're not watching a horror/comedy. We're talking about a film that's supposed to be fucking scary. About if you say this guy's name 5 times in the mirror, he kills you with his fucking hook. Another rant I could fucking go on about in this movie. The fucking kills were terrible in this movie. Mainly all off screen. We see a scene where a woman's throat gets cut, yeah. Where she's about to have sex with that guy. Excuse me, I'll pop-up come up. Yeah. There's a scene where she gets her throat cut. The guy gets killed with Candyman's hook. You know. Like I say, the kills are mainly all off screen. The only time when you really see the Candyman is in the mirror. And many people are going to put fucking sugar coating on this fucking movie. Because I say Tony Todd was in it. No, correction. Tony Todd was in for the last 10 seconds of the movie. Towards the end sequence. Where he's lying on the ground, he turns his head, and he says like about one line, and that's it for Tony Todd. But even that performance, that 10-second performance of Tony Todd, where he turns his head and says that one-liner, was better than the whole fucking acting in this fucking piece of shit of a movie. I didn't think the acting was convincing. There was no one showing like real emotion about the Candyman. There was nothing in this movie that was just really convincing. I mean, from the start of the movie, your excitement was building. And then the movie then dragged. Then excitement built up again. Then the movie dragged. And that's all this movie was about from start to finish. It was about building up to the kill. And then when the kill came, it was basic or off screen. And then your interest dropped again. Now for the next 20 minutes, when it built up for the next kill, again, basic or off-screen kill. Interest dropped again. Another scene that they could have done fucking better with was that scene in the girls' toilets where the girls are at school, they line up and they say the Candyman's name 5 times in the mirror. And there's a scene where one girl locks herself in the toilets and all she sees is blood. You know, Candyman doesn't even appear in that fucking scene. So there's just a scene where blood goes up against the mirror, she drops her mobile phone, etc., etc. Fucking worthless scenes. Fucking worthless scenes. There's not one scene in this movie where I thought, that was an amazing kill. It was fucking nothing. They didn't give us fuck all in this movie. Just a bit of a bonus at the end with Tony Todd for 10 seconds doing a one-liner. But even that one little scene was better than Half of the acting all put together in this fucking movie by all performances on their side. I still can't get that out of my head. The Candyman can, the Candyman can. What the fuck is this doing in this fucking movie? So, when I try and think hard to give some positive notes about this movie, just the image opening of the mirror in this movie with the city. Good touch. Good references from the first movie where they're talking about Helen. And again, is that the only two things I can really think of about this movie that was really good? When you compare it to that movie where it had all the scares, it had all the music, it had the great storytelling, the great plot of the Candyman. That movie fucking had it all. This movie seemed like a 10-step down. And I guess anybody can be a fucking Candyman in this movie. Anybody. Even when you get bit by a fucking bee, you're capable of being the next Candyman. So suddenly we've got like 10 million Candymans. That scene was hilarious. The scene at the end where she's holding her husband in her arms just before he's about to die. And the cops burst in and they fucking shoot him dead while she's holding him. He's not doing any attacks. He's not doing any types of threat. He's basically dying in her arms, and the fucking cops burst in and they shoot him anyway, when he was already dying. They shot a dying man, basically, in her arms, basically. So, overall, everybody, all I've got to say, this is a really shit movie. It felt really flat. Again, it was movie and time. It was money and time that I'll never get fucking back. Horrendous plot. Bad acting from all parties. Did not give a shit about any of the leading roles. You know. They kind of left this movie open that they're going to make another one. I kind of hope they don't make it now. That movie behind me had it all, from a definition of a great horror movie, with the music, everything. It fucking had everything. It scared me so much I never ate or slept properly for weeks when I was 12 years old. And I adored the movie so much, even got Tony Todd's Candyman on my arm there. That's how much it meant to me. And to have a movie like this added in the franchise, I mean, you could say it's a reboot, but it's more than likely just a sequel from the first movie. To have a movie like that dumped right on top of a great movie that we had back there is a fucking disgrace, a fucking piss take. So, I'm sorry if anyone was expecting me to praise this movie. There's no way I'm going to praise this piece of shit. There's no way I'm going to, I'm coming on here and, like, give false pretenses and, you know, a great story about how this movie was legendary, like some of these fucking critics have done here online, talking about this movie and praising it. Sean Peele, I don't know what the fuck you were doing. Again, so I did not like this movie, everybody, and I'm recommending all horror fanatics out there who were a big fan of the Candyman movie that have not seen it yet, please avoid it. If you want to watch a good Candyman, you watch that movie there from the 90s. That's the movie you watch, okay? Why the fuck would you want to see that adaptation from 2021 when you can watch this great film? Avoid the 2021. You want to sit down, you want to watch a good scare, you watch a great movie that was well put together and had the makers of a great horror movie, you watch that Candyman right there behind me. That's the Candyman that needs to be watched and praised. Not that horrendous piece of shit that just recently came out. So avoid it like the fucking plague. And that's all I've got to say, everyone. Please like, rate, comment, subscribe, and email me if you've got any questions. Avoid the fucking Candyman movie. Fucking shit film. Peace out. The Candyman can.